I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast, episode number 69. This one is with Matthew Cummings, and we talk about glass blowing. If you're a 12-year-old boy, that's a 1, 2, 3 punch, and you are welcome. Matthew's a great guy. It's great having him on the podcast to talk about glass blowing, kind of his journey, kind of what that field looks like. It's great to have him on. I appreciate him. Always a good time. If you'd like to learn more about what Matthew's doing, you can follow him online at pretentiousglass.com and pretentiousbeerco.com. We appreciate him being on. No sponsor this week. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and if you really want to help, really want to give back, really want to show support, find Black-owned businesses in your community and support them, but don't just support them now and get a pat on the back. Support them in perpetuity. And if you'd like to give any money, go to blacklivesmatter.com and give money there. Find a local chapter and do what you can, no matter what. Thank you again for listening. Without much further ado, here's the episode.
What kind of audio recorder you got?
It's a Zoom H6.
Yeah.
Which it's now, not to crap on Zoom, but now you can actually get a H4 and get an adapter for the top.
Uh-huh.
And it's like $100 cheaper.
Really?
And you still have the same capability.
Huh.
Yeah. You would, because I've only used 4 inputs.
Yeah.
That's the most people I've had on it once. I feel like that's the most people can take.
Yeah.
Good God. If I had 6 people. This is... The adapters are in there. They're just an omnidirectional one, or an omnidirectional ball, and then a cross directional.
Yeah.
But I've never used those because I was like, well, if I've got these.
Yeah.
If I've got mics. Yeah, this
You're
audio
good.
podcast dummy. I just pointed at the mic. I know some of the questions I'm going to ask you. I already know the answer, but I'm going to.
Okay.
So where are you originally from?
I'm from actually Albany, Kentucky, South Central Kentucky, and then I spent about as an adult like 8 years in Louisville. That's kind of the home, the first home that I chose before Knoxville, and then now this is the spot.
How long have you been in Knoxville?
Little over 5 years now.
Oh,
6,
wow.
maybe 6 years.
Okay,
it's been a while. I think like 6 years.
I always laugh. Used to be, I would be sitting around a table and I would be the only one from here.
Yeah.
And it's gotten a little bit different, but it's still like, it's amazing how many people I meet and they're like, oh no, I'm not from here.
Yeah.
Like I think about like at the winter formal or the spring formal or something. I would say 90% of the people are not from here.
Yeah.
Like it's insane to me. It used to be, I think we finally switched though, because when I was growing up, it was always a college town that people came back to or they stayed.
Yeah.
Whereas I think now there's so much, it's a city on its own. Like the college part is secondary.
Yeah.
No offense to my friends at UT.
Yeah.
It's kind of secondary now at this point.
Well, I mean, it makes it a stronger city to, not... Because I've lived in where I went to school. It was a college town, and there's so much fluctuation in business. So as a business owner, that's great, cool. Yeah.
What made you choose Knoxville? Had you visited before or anything?
Well, my wife's family is from Knoxville.
That'll do it.
And so we came to Knoxville a lot. We actually got married in Knoxville before we'd even thought about moving to Knoxville. We got married here and did our after party at Sapphire like 9 years ago. I think it was like, and I had no idea. We just randomly walked from the hotel. I think was the it was the Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
And then we just walked downtown, and then it was like, oh, this is like an awesome looking bar.
That's such a crazy bar.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
It
go
was
and
fun.
do a lot of people watching, but now I've gotten to know like Pat, who's one of the best damn bartenders.
Yeah,
like, in
and so
town.
entertaining.
He's-
Like even if he couldn't make a cocktail, and he makes amazing cocktails.
God, he
like
makes
he would be a great bartender.
Yeah. He God, I need to interview him because there's been so many times I've been in there. There was one time I was in there after a show and everyone on the bar had a drink that was pink or had cotton candy in it. And I'm sitting there with a bourbon. I had shoot. Now I'm trying to remember what I had. I had something that was very unique. And he walked by and he stopped. He backed up and he was like, "Ooh, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, this is this." He was like, "Ooh, hold on." And he went and picked out other stuff for me to try.
Oh, cool.
He's the best. He's
Nice.
the absolute best. But yeah, going in there sometimes after a show and seeing 8 rednecks drinking Bud Light, wondering like deer in headlights, like what in the hell are we doing in here? It's like, yeah, guys, you want to go somewhere else. you know, no offense, Sapphire.
Yeah,
it's just rednecks with polo shirts tucked into jeans with boots on. It's this is not your place.
Yeah.
And I've started thinking, as we've grown, I don't know where their place would be downtown anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because it's gotten to be so like craft beer and everything. There's not really like I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not sliding them or anything.
Yeah.
There's no Wild Wing Cafe yet. Downtown for them just get a Bud Light.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came here, got married, decided to stay here after you're married? Or
No, we still lived in Louisville for like 3 years.
Wow.
Or four or 5 years, because I was in Illinois at the time, south of Chicago when we got married, and she was in Memphis, and then we both moved to Louisville for 4 years, and then decided we want to go somewhere to set up roots and start a family, and we were looking at, I had to be in more of a city. Knoxville is obviously on the smaller side of what could support it independently. Luckily, we have Etsy, so that gives us a bit of flexibility. So, we were breaking it down. Like, I loved Louisville. Steph wasn't as much in love with it. We knew, ideally, it would be nice if we could be near grandparents. So that put Knoxville, really far ahead. Yeah. And then we wanted to be in a city that didn't have a ton of glassblowing studios and didn't have a ton of breweries yet. Which that was kind of the plan, was to start both together. Yeah. And so Atlanta was on the table. I'd been there several times for art shows, and it was didn't have quite as much of that like indie culture that I was looking for. Like Louisville is famous for being weird and independent and really small, and proud of that. And then we were looking at Nashville, which there, wasn't a ton of breweries at the time, no glassblowing studios. Yeah. But I hate country music. Like I hated. Okay, I'll preface that. I hated country music
Here's our first tangent.
until like Chris Stapleton and that. Like,
but you
kind
like
of the
old
newer
country, like
I like
Waylon,
old. So like like one of my glass mentors. Sam Stang in Augusta, Missouri. I lived and worked in the town where he was at, and he had anywhere. It was like a community group that was like a 7 to 12 piece, like old country bluegrass folk band that I played with on him. Nice. And so like the really, really old stuff. Yeah. The stuff from, growing up in the South, like the pop country from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, just crap. Awful.
I had this discussion with Sean the other night because I was like, there's still some songs in the 90s that tug at my heartstrings because of what I was doing at the time. Like they remind me of a moment. Just like Gin Blossoms, like that New Miserable Experience, I wouldn't put that on and listen to that now. But if I put it on, I remember driving with my friends, 5 of us in a Chevy, like 1984 Chevy Cavalier with my big ass crammed in the back with 2 other guys during summer basketball. And it's like that, like pings up that moment. So there's still some stuff in the 90s that's like, oh man, this reminds me of this. Yeah. Or this reminds me of this. Yeah. Whereas if you listen to it now, it's like, holy no.
Yeah.
Just like 80s ZZ Top reminds me of going to Bill Meyer Stadium with my dad
Yeah.
see. But they had a contest where you could win the car from the ZZ Top video.
Nuh-uh.
And IMZ here in town did it. And you called in and you got a chance. And it was like hundreds of people entered and got a chance. And they had the car sitting in Bill Meyer Stadium. And you got a key. And if your key turned on the engine, then you won it. And Dad got to go do it. And I was playing in a baseball tournament at the time. So he was like standing waiting in line. I think he may have even been the coach. And Mom was like, all right, I'm taking him to the game. And the assistant coach had to take over. He's like, damn it, I'm still out here doing it. He lost, but they gave him ZZ Top metal keychain that he still has.
Cool.
That has the logo.
Nice.
So I think when I hear that, I think of...
Yeah.
I think it's like that for country music.
That's good marketing right there.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Oh, God. Yeah, because that car in this is probably like 1986, yeah. That car, even refurbed and everything back then, probably cost $20,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like now where it's harder to find frames. And like my uncle had a fastback when he got out of the service. And now he's been looking at getting a frame and building it from the ground up. And he was like,
cool.
He was like, the frame's like $60,000.
No,
not a fastback. No, a Boss 302. And he's like, the frame alone's like $50,000-$60,000.
No,
That's not rusted or not been wrecked or anything. Yeah, he's pissed.
That's insane.
I'm like, that's why I like. My dream car is a '68 Lincoln Continental with suicide doors that I can find for $18,000, refurbed and everything.
Yeah, perfect.
They did all the work for me. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to. I don't want to do bond work on a car.
Yeah.
Anyway, so y'all came to Knoxville. So glass blowing. How long have you been doing glass blowing?
I've been doing glass blowing for about 16 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, I got into it. I went to college to become an architect. So to do something respectable, you know?
Yeah.
And I loved art. I was always, very artistic. I did well in math. So I was like, art, math, architect, that sounds right. Cool. That'll do. And going to school, I went to a liberal arts school, and we had... so I did as many like painting and drawing courses as I could, which was like old school, like classical training on paintings. It was all charcoal and oil and still lifes and figure drawing, like old school. Yeah. And I took all of the painting and drawing classes I could. Then I had to take an elective, and it was either glass blowing or ceramics. And I just chose not to take ceramics. Yeah. I didn't choose glass. I was like, I just don't want to do ceramics. So I begrudgingly enrolled in a glass class. Like the first week, fell in love with it.
That's
crazy. Changed my major that semester. This was when the beginning of my junior year. Yeah. So I got into it real late.
How'd your folks take that call?
Oh, they were not super. No, I mean they were supportive, but they were like,
the minute the phone hung up, they're like, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to your junior year. Did you have to stay an extra year or two, or how does that work with class?
No, because I had enough
of your base level.
Yeah, my base level art courses covered it. I just had to go into the thesis show like a little, not with as much experience as my peers had. Yeah, but it worked out. Fine.
Do you still remember the name of the person who ran that program?
Yeah, Stephen Rothpal.
Is he still?
He passed away about a year ago.
Okay. Yeah. But he got to see you do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
And he was one of the top 10 glass blowers in the U.S. Just really stellar. Hold on, I got a book of his. Okay, let's see. Well, this isn't the book, but this was survey, and so his piece got the cover. Wow. So just really vivacious. Like he was an amazing colorist. Yeah. And that piece is huge. That piece is like this wide, maybe 4 feet tall.
It's like
3 feet. What's that?
Looks like a peacock.
Yeah, but so that's half of it. So it looks like a butt, like it's very like sensual kind of forms. They were either like a buttocks or like breast forms,
That's amazing. So I think it's those blue pieces at the beginning look like feathers to me.
Yeah.
Okay. With the people in that program, do most of them end up doing glass blowing in some shape or form after they leave?
No, glass blowing programs, there's so few jobs out there,
Yeah.
and it's such a small niche
Yeah.
medium. I mean, it's not cutthroat in that it's like a really
Yeah.
it's real similar to craft beer, you know, where it's very cooperative, but it's so physically and mentally taxing, you know, because you have to spend several years, like 5 years, to be decent.
Yeah.
You know, so you go through a few years at the beginning sucking, you know, and that's doing it full time. So it's a old world discipline that takes a lifetime commitment to be good at, and it's hard to make money at. So it's really hard to keep yourself going. So there's a lot of people that, you know, cull out and don't keep on that journey where we lose our friends and people that go on and do something else.
In choosing that college, are there a lot of glass blowing programs in art schools across the country?
Yeah, most states have at least one. So Kentucky has 2. Center College, where I went, U of L, University of Louisville is run by Shay, who graduated from Steve. So there's maybe 15 or 20 of us from Steve's program that are still doing it and made a career out of it, you know, over the course of like, you know, 30 years. So maybe like once every couple of years, you'll get somebody out of a program that does it full time.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I wonder if also a lot of the people go and get like masters or PhDs to be able to teach glass blowing.
Yeah, but so there's a ton of people. So I got my master's.
Yeah.
You have to have your master's teaching the college courses. Yeah. But I got it to give myself, it was a 3-year program to give myself 3 years to really like selfishly focus on my art and not dealing with the financial obligations of renting studio time, which I did. And it was just heartbreakingly difficult. Like it was the only time in my career that I never sketched. Was the first time I tried to do this full time. Okay. And it was just so stressful that my creative side just shut down. Yeah. You know, and so that was maybe like an 8-month period before I went to grad school. And then when I got to grad school, I was like, I get to blow glass all of this and I get a stipend for teaching and fixing equipment. You know, it was amazing. So I went to grad school and not with the point of, you know, teaching, but most people do. Yeah. But the catch-22 on that is like there's so few glass programs, so there's 1 or 2 in each state. Yeah. So there's maybe 50 programs. Okay. It's a sweet gig when you get it, and so everybody gets tenure and keeps it for. So you know there might be a glass program open up once every 5 years, one job once every 5 years. If you're willing to travel anywhere in the U.S., and then like the established artists are the ones that are, you know, have the leg up and get those positions. So it's like I only know a couple people, you know, out of dozens and dozens of people that were able to pull that off and make it work. And they're like just amazing. And even the people that like weren't able to get those positions were like, I would love if they would have taught me. Yeah. You know?
Is that ever a thought in the back of your head that maybe like 20 or 25 years down the line to get back into maybe teaching and getting kids into?
Yeah, I mean, I love teaching. Like we keep, you know, we'll do a lot of like demos and stuff after our team meetings on the glass side, as far as like breaking things down and just doing like in the fall. Last fall, I did a lecture with the guys and the girls about, you know, how to approach gallerists. So it was like a 3-part lecture. Yeah. So we did an hour each week, and it was how to prepare yourself, like how to brand yourself, how to develop work, how to price work, and then how to reach out to galleries was the second one. What's the best way to present that information, and how do you find galleries that fits with you? So how do you identify the price point, like price ranges, and then identify galleries that take risks on emerging artists, and who does group shows, because that gives you a higher chance of getting your foot in and then hopefully getting a solo show. And then the third one was like, okay, now you're in a gallery. Good job. You've succeeded. So now what do they expect you to do? Yeah. So you keep that and turn that into a long-term relationship, you know, so things like that.
Yeah. How many people do you think you have churned through here? Not churned through, but had through here that you've. Do people who come through here, a lot of them not know anything at the beginning, and you have to teach them? Or?
So we do. I used to not allow anybody without experience, just because the style of glass blowing we do is hyper technical.
Okay.
So like even if you're a good glass blower, it's still really difficult.
Yeah.
Because we do everything in clear. There's no color to hide it.
Yeah.
So you have to work super clean, way cleaner than you would typically be required to work.
Okay.
So used to, I would only allow people in with like 5 years of experience at the minimum to be like the low man on the totem pole or low crafts person on the totem pole. And then I took a chance, which is also difficult because we have to bring people in from out of state for that. Cause there's only a couple other glass blowing studios in town, and there's no programs that are like feeder programs. Right. So I took a chance on a couple of people. Actually, Marissa Mars Fabrication, the welder.
I recognize that name.
She was one of the first. She does like amazing metalwork, and she's worked for me on and off for a few years.
Okay.
So she's got her side hustle, so she hasn't been here for a minute. But still see her all the time over here coming for the beers. And we took a chance on her, and she killed it.
Okay.
And the learning curve was so much shorter because she didn't have to unlearn bad habits.
Yeah.
Because it's a craft, so there's only certain, glass. I can tell by watching a glass blower where he went to school or who taught him by how he works, because the community is so small, and there's so few places that teach like the hard way to learn how to blow glass, which is the longer way, but it gives really solid foundations. And I need those foundations to do this kind of technical work. So if they weren't taught those foundations, then we have to have them unlearn, skill set. And then that can be very stressful for people. And, not everybody can do that. And so with somebody with no experience, we've had tremendous success starting them for our assistant level and then training them up fresh. We get it. So they're dialed in a lot faster, and they can be really, really energetic about it. And at that point, it's just like getting good attitude and good people.
And they're probably more also coming in of like, no, I want to learn this, like eager to learn, wanting on that front end. I'm going to touch back on the beer, because you said the glass blowing and the studio and the beer both kind of were things you wanted to look into. Had you been like a garage brewer before, a home brewer before?
Yeah, for a few years, yeah. When I was in Louisville, when I had my studio at an art center in Louisville, I kept a kegerator there.
Okay.
For if I ever had like studio visits or anything, we would always have beer on tap, or like employee parties when I started the Pretentious side, So I'd been home brewing for like 3 or 4 years at that point. Yeah.
So that was the thought. It's like, well, I'm going to do this, but I'm also going to do this. Yeah. So you started.
Well, I was actually going to. I was talking with Against the Grain in Louisville, because that was the Sam, one of the owners, was like the first person I showed the glasses to.
Yeah.
Him and Lori from Holy Grail, and so I had a really good relationship with Sam over there. And the original idea was to do. I was talking to them about the possibility of doing a satellite Against the Grain tap room. Because they were trying to decide if they wanted to do like a big production facility or do more like what Brewdog did before they went enormous. And so what they would do, instead of having a big production facility, they would open up little brew pubs all over the UK, and then they would be able to self-distribute, at those little hubs, and it was small scale, lower investment each time. So they were going between those two, and if they decided to go the brew pub route, then we would have had one here in Louisville, and then they ended up going with the production side. And then Sam was like, dude, you need to, if you're going to do it, like, do the beer yourself. Don't, like, you can do it.
Yeah, don't be stuck to what somebody else. So how did you find, I'm trying to think how to say this. When you found these two places, was there a spotlight from God on both these places?
Right?
Because one of them had been vacant for a
abandoned
long,
for a long
time.
Yeah.
And that's the glass
Yeah.
blowing side, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this side, I'm trying to remember what used to be here.
It was a comic book shop.
This was the comic book shop.
Yeah, this was the
Okay.
comic book shop.
God love. Do you know the owners of the comic book shop?
No, the son, and I think he might have been one of the owners. He stops by, you know,
Yeah.
every month or two.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see him on a pretty regular
I
basis.
think it was whoever owned the comic book shop before. They used to let cats roam free in their. And I was like,
Yeah.
"You are killing me, man."
Yeah.
It's like, is it going to piss or? It's like, oh man. Okay, this was the comic book shop.
Yeah.
I thought it was one more down. For
No,
some
it was
reason.
this spot because when we cleaned everything out, we found all these Magic the Gathering cards
yeah.
like everywhere, like hidden everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And we got the story of how that happened is I came into Knoxville like 4 or 5 times just to look for commercial spaces, and we were a really difficult size to find because we were a little bigger than standard retail and a little smaller than industrial.
Right.
And we wanted to be somewhere where we could potentially get some foot traffic.
Yeah.
Which at the time, the old city, I liked this just because of the looks.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it was like Ollie B had just opened up and Crown and Goose was here, and then, you know, that was it. Right?
Java. Yeah.
Yeah, Old City Java, and that
It's been
that
around
was it.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so anyway, we went through with all of the developers and the realtors and a lot of the stuff for projects that were like years out. And I was like, no, I need a place like in 4 months, you know? And so actually a lot of those places that we went and looked at still have not been developed yet.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a certain realtor that his last name is a day of the week that it drives me absolutely bonkers. That every time it's like for lease, it's like, you need to sell that, man. You need to sell it because it's been sitting there. I've been alive for 41 years.
Yeah,
it's been sitting there for 41 years.
Yeah. No rush, man. No rush.
Yeah. Somebody will do something with that.
Yeah.
That was one thing I was wondering, like, because I feel like in North Knoxville or even East Knoxville a little bit, you could probably find like a bigger spot, like what they did with Lusk Auto Body.
Yeah.
What Mighty Mud did with their.
Yeah.
But it's you don't get the foot traffic. Then, you know, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Getting people to come to you would be just a tad bit harder.
Yeah. Well, we didn't
especially
know
at that time.
Well, but I mean, that time, you know,
North
Knox was
starting.
nothing. You know, it was Happy Holler.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Old City wasn't even anything as far as like foot traffic and people coming in yet. So I ended up just walking around and that's one of the things I love about Knoxville is you can walk the whole downtown in like an hour.
Yeah.
So I was just walking around looking for vacant spaces, and then I saw that no sign on it. Jeffrey Nash, you know, he used to have his spot just right next door, and I had a meeting with him, and I was like, hey, and he was super nice. We got along like famously right off the bat. I love that dude. And I was like, hey, what's up with this? So he got me in touch with the owner, Dr. Samia Hanna.
Okay.
And we reached out to her. And I think the only reason we got that lease was because she was a physician, and we took her out to dinner at Crown and Goose to talk about it. So it was like there was this, you know, like kind of pseudo courtship just to like, you know, she wasn't interested in leasing it to anybody. And we took her out to dinner, and then her and my wife, you know, physician to physician, like clicked off right off the bat. She wanted, you know, something artistic to go in there. And we, you know, we convinced her to let us lease the space and do that. And then about, you know, a couple months after we leased that space, the comic book shop closed down. We didn't even think we were going to be able to get it. We were hoping maybe. Yeah. Anyway, it closed down. We couldn't find anywhere to build the equipment. Yeah. So we were able to lease this spot at a reduced rate, not opening it, you know, just sitting on it and using it as a fabrication space. And that's where we built, and then the patio is where we built all of our glass blowing equipment.
Was the patio already built?
It was done.
Oh, it was already built.
We didn't do any, like we put the stage in, and that was it. It had the overhang.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That the comic book shop would just randomly have a...
They had it, and there was like, well, the first time we went and saw it, it was just like all these like fold up tables. Yeah. And then piles of like 2-liter Mountain Dew, like empty 2 liters of Mountain Dews, and these ashtrays just overflowing like a mountain of cigarette butts.
Oh,
that was
my
like
God.
the one of the best patios downtown, and
Yeah.
that was all it was being used for.
I'm trying to remember who I saw here. I can't even remember. Oh, it was the William Wild record release show or something.
Yeah.
That I was sitting here and I took a photo and I was like, literally, if you didn't know this was Knoxville, this feels like Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like with
right?
with the
background.
buildings
Yeah.
and everything. I was like, that's what
Yeah.
this feels like.
Yeah.
I've sat in some of those weird bars in Brooklyn where you're sitting and it's like, this feels kind of like home. Like, I was sitting in one and I was with my friend I grew up with, and her best friend's husband was with us, and he was from Mexico. He's a chef up there, or a cook up there. Him and his brother were there from Mexico, and he cracked me up because they were piping in the sounds of crickets chirping, in that place. And he sat down and he was like, what in the hell is that noise? And I was like, or it was cicadas. It was one or the other. And they were like, we were like, oh, that sounds like cicadas. That's not real, because you can tell it's on a loop. And he's like, oh, that's annoying. And then we sat there and talked for like 30 minutes or so. And then he was like, that's really relaxing. And we both looked at him and was like, no shit. That's why they do it. That's why they do it. I mean, like, he was dying. And then when we came back at the end of the night there, and he was just like, I can get used to this. Like, yeah, come down to the South. It's even better because
Right?
it's real.
Yeah,
Because it's real.
Yeah.
I'll take you to some farm out in the middle of Corrington, and you'll have a heyday, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fascinating that was already built out. And again, stuff I already know, but I'm putting on here.
Yeah.
So because you touched on it, everything over in the shop, you all built.
Yeah.
Like all the glass blowing.
Yeah.
What do you call those?
We've got furnaces. Annealers are what you would call kilns in ceramics. You know, instead of drying out, they cool down. And then glory holes are the reheating chambers.
Well, I just got an NSFW on this one.
Just beep it out.
They're like, what in the hell did he say? Nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But you built all that, so did you already know how to do that, or did you have people kind of like helping you of like...
I had a buddy I went to grad school with that drew up the specs for everything, and then we figured all of the other stuff out.
You used the architect brain and the...
Well, this like to be a glass blower, there's a few places that make the equipment, but most people, the equipment is crazy expensive. You know, like buying a hot shop could be $250,000, the size that we have.
Yeah.
So, you know, you learn how to build it yourself, and you also have to repair all that stuff.
Yeah.
The heat that we deal with is super corrosive for the equipment, so you're constantly doing repairs.
Yeah.
So as soon as you start in a glass program, like when you're like just in, it's like, oh, you get to do this shitty hot thing.
Yeah.
You know, we're just going to supervise. We're the older students, you know.
Yeah.
So like you get thrown in the mix pretty early. So we had a bit of background, not as much as I would want, and we just built it and figured it out.
Well, I thought that because you were talking about how the community was still like super supportive and everything.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. Like, almost like, okay, he's building this, like not all hands on deck, but it's like who can help out.
Well, yeah, and even like there's an amazing, one of the best, there's like 3 just stellar glass equipment companies in the U.S., and one of them is pretty close to us in Star, North Carolina. It's like 5 hours. And I reached out to him.
Yeah.
We chose to make our own equipment and not buy his equipment. We actually bought some of the parts and got a lot of help from them.
Yeah.
So like he knew.
That's amazing.
Like, we were not giving him really
a
significant amount of money. We were just buying some little parts, and he was totally happy to like roll out all the secrets and be like, here, dude, do this. This will save you some headache.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. When we lit up the equipment, like he's the home brewer too, and he sent us some beer to open up when we lit it up.
That's amazing.
You know?
That's
just
awesome.
Like, solid person,
Yeah.
you know?
Is all the equipment over there still pretty much the same, or have you added on? You've not added on, or?
No, we built everything that we needed to build right off the bat.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And then also, like, once we did that, you know, about 90% of the stuff you interact with here at Pretentious on the beer side and the glass side, we built ourselves.
Yeah.
So after that, like building the bar stools, and like my table, I built and designed. We built and designed. I designed, you know. So like, It was easy after
Yeah,
that. It's
yeah.
like, all right,
It's
building
like,
a
that's the
glass
heavy
furnace.
lifting, literally.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally the heavy lifting over there.
Oh, and we got all of that stuff. So, like, the hoops we had to jump through to open up a glass blowing studio downtown Knoxville.
That was my next question. It's like,
Dude,
Patricia.
You have no idea how difficult.
Patricia, the saving grace, the saint of Knoxville.
Oh,
It's
my
what she
God.
is.
Dude.
Yeah, I've had discussions with another brewer in town that you know that I will not name because he was about to kill one of the people.
Yes. So it was the same time. So we were all going for our COs at the same time.
Yeah.
I'll say the three that dealt with all of the issues that kind of worked it out for everybody else. It was, we were getting our CO, but not for the brewery side, but, Crafting Alliance fought with that. They had to open up for like 6 months as a craft beer bar because they couldn't get the permitting done.
Yeah.
And so we were tied into all of it because we were combustion and we were even further, like bigger combustion. And we ended up having to get all of our glass blowing equipment UL listed.
Okay.
UL listing is the highest level. So UL is a brand name of I think it's called it's been a while, so it's a nationally recognized testing laboratory. Yeah. So those are places that are certified to do this highest listing. Yeah. UL or UL is like a brand name, like I said, like Coke or whatever. Yeah. So we had to get, and that's the most strenuous safety testing that you can possibly get. Yeah. Right. We had to get that on handmade equipment. That was the first time we'd ever built that. Jeez. So it cost to do that. So we had to add on maybe it's like triple redundant safety system. So we were double redundant. Yeah. So we had to add on a third redundancy. And we figured that out. It took like 2 or 3 months. It delayed us. Cost maybe $20,000 in the extra parts. And then it was like, I think it was $10,000 to have. So you have a field engineer come for a field evaluation. So it's like $10,000 to get them here. Yeah. And it took about 8 hours, and they examined the entire thing. You have to have product or equipment, binders for everything. Yeah. What all the shutdown, light up procedures are, everything.
I'm trying to think of like that engineer. It's like, do you have to get somebody specialized that understands that kind of equipment?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a general engineer.
Yeah, like, no, they fly them in. You have to pay for the flight and all of that stuff. And you get one shot. If they are not able to pass the equipment by the time they leave that day, technically you're not allowed to adjust anything, but most of them will allow you to make some small adjustments if you can do it in time. If you do not get it done, you do not pass it perfectly. It's not like, you're 98% there, 100% there. If you do not pass it perfectly, you fail. No prorate on the next try. Yeah. So it's a $10,000 gamble on if you built this equipment. And we hadn't been able to open. There was no money for that, you know?
Had you talked, or did you know people that had to go through that before? So you didn't know.
No other city in the United States.
So you didn't even know like a checklist of like, here's some of the things he's going to look for.
No.
Holy shit.
No.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, that's the night. I mean, that's like.
Did you record all that to share with other people?
Yeah,
yeah. Like, here's what we had to go through.
And that's the nice thing is like that gave us a bit of monopoly on glass studios downtown because nobody's going to come. Yeah. With that. Like they set the precedence so far that if we weren't already invested in being here, we wouldn't have gone through it.
Weird side question. Because I talked to a friend of mine that she just did like glass, like ornaments and stuff, and her and her husband have this great, like, it's almost like a barn garage. Yeah. Lisa Mueller. Do you know Lisa Mueller?
I don't think so.
She's awesome. Like, and she would do stuff, but I would always bug her forever, been like, I want a cigar ashtray. Yeah. That's cool. And she was like, well, to do that, I would have to add lead to it so it wouldn't screw things up. Is that like everything is unleaded? That sounds weird to say. Or how does that work? That's something that I've always wondered, but I've never thought to ask.
No, you can make it out of soda lime. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if she's talking about adding lead to it, then she's probably making her own mix. Okay. Which maybe she might have to add a little lead to it. The soda lime that we use is fine for it. Okay. I mean, normally you would be like more like making a borosilicate or a hard glass that deals with thermal shock better.
Okay.
In case, the heat of the cigar gets too close to it. But I'm pretty sure that ashtrays are just made out of soda lime. I think it's fine, which is what we use. That's like 90% of what you see, like your glasses, window panes, drink
jelly jars, stuff like
jelly
that.
jars, all that soda lime.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, man, who in the hell? It's like we're in 2020. Adding lead to glass seems.
She probably just didn't want to do it.
I think that was it. That was probably.
She was like, oh yeah, I'd have to add lead, so we can't.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, she's like first mineral that she thought of.
I have to add SARS to it to get it to work.
Oh, the borax content is 8%. It needs to be at least 9.5. I mean,
you won't even learn about what COVID is for 10 years, but I have to put COVID in it for some reason.
That's how it started. So okay.
I'm in. I'm the guy. I don't know why I thought about that with her. It's like, hell, now I've got coffee mugs that I use. I was like, coffee mugs can handle like high heat.
Yeah.
Also, I never set that also comes from somebody who doesn't know much about cigars. You don't set a cigar down in to where it's just the heat of the tip is sitting on something. You ash, which by the time that hits the bottom, it's already cooled off. I would assume enough.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. I draw pictures.
The ash would, it's not going to be very hot.
I draw pictures for a living.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. Same thing.
Scientific. Okay, so you got lucky. You kind of built out on this side, and then you were able to just talk that person like, we want to do the brewery on this side.
Yeah, so we already had a short-term lease on this side, and it was really... That was one of the really difficult decisions where, like, I couldn't afford to open up a brewery just yet, and I just was sitting on that lease, which was prorated, but it was still a big monthly chunk for basically a storage space downtown, And I think I held on to it for like a year, not using it at all, just to reserve it. Because it was like I could let it go and then risk somebody else getting it, or see if she could find somebody that could do it for like a year and then get out of it. But then, like, how sure are you that that person would leave and not stay on for a while? So we ended up just sitting on it. Yeah. And then sat on it for about a year, used it as storage space, and then we opened up as a craft beer bar. Yeah. So I didn't have to take on investors to take out a big loan. Yeah. And we could open it up the way I wanted to. Built everything by hand. That way we just dealt with like the functionality of serving people. Yeah. The bar space, and then the cool room, the taps, and all of that. And then about a year after that, we opened up as a craft beer or a brewery, and then that was an even bigger investment of getting all the equipment for brewing, which is freaking expensive. Yeah, it's all stainless. Stainless is expensive as shit.
Wait, how in the hell did you get those big tanks in here?
We took the windows out.
That's what I was just trying to think. I was like, well, no, there's a fence back there, so you can't. Where in the? Okay, you took the windows. Yeah, because
we got that tiny little historic door that we couldn't touch.
Oh. I know it's a tiny door. I have to squeeze my big ass through that thing. Every time I walk through that door, I was like, damn it, Matt.
Son of a.
Oh, now you're shifting. Oh, it's the city. It's the city.
Yeah, so we had to take the window out, which is like a 6 foot by 6 foot window. And we couldn't get any window, like professional window factories in Knoxville to take that out for us and guarantee they could put it back up.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, take it out. I need you to promise that you can put it back in, or if you break it, prorate the replacement on it. Mm-hmm. And that we couldn't even get anybody willing, like, to touch it, to even think about it. Yeah. So everyone said no. So we were like, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. Yeah. Because we've done everything ourselves. Yeah. So it's this huge, flimsy window. We figure out how to take out. We buy the suction cups for it, pull it out, and then get this elaborate. We get the guys from Postmodern helped us out with that. They brought their forklift over, and we forklifted in and then swung it down through some crazy system of pulleys. Like, it was the most insane day, and then we had to put the window back up at the end of the day.
Oh my God. The minute you put the window back up and got everything sealed, you were just like,
we're like,
let's hope this works. Let's hope this works. Let's hope this works. Oh my God. Okay. I remember that because when they did that, what was it called? It was the comedy festival they did right after the Orange Cheeto and Chief got elected that Shane Ryan ran.
Yeah.
That I came down and shot footage and photos
yeah.
when you could still sit on that side.
Yeah.
Where there were little tables over there.
Yeah.
Or bench, picnic
Well,
bench.
we still had that drink rail up,
Yeah,
so it was just like, it was like a double-sided drink rail, so it was just like a walkway.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I still remember that. Yeah. Okay, so you did all that. Let me make sure. I've got questions in here.
Yeah, so we got the glass opening up, the beer opening up, the brewery opening up.
And like when it came to the brewery, I don't mean to keep saying did you lean on anybody, but I also know community and how Knoxville is.
Yeah.
Like, because in Knoxville, for people who don't know, the brewery people are like the best, most collaborative people in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane that nobody gives a shit about competition.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with a lot of the big chefs, too, is they don't give a shit. They eat at each other's restaurants. Like, they don't. That's I call it the Knoxville way. That's the Knoxville way, man. So it was probably good that everybody kind of started. I don't want to say started at once, but it seemed like all of a sudden there's this groundswell.
Yeah.
Where you had Crafty Alliance. Like, for years you had all the Calhoun's ones. You had Downtown Grill and Brewery and Sawworks were the ones.
Yeah.
And then from there came like Fanatic. I can't remember. I think Alliance had started before Fanatic.
Alliance, Crafty, Last Days.
I think Fanatic was before Last Days, wasn't it?
No, I think Last Days was really close to around the time that.
I was thinking of them, not second wave, but a little bit later.
Yeah, they were in that first wave for sure. I think that was the first wave, and then like I think Fanatic was in between.
Yeah.
And then it was like us and Abridged and Hexagon. And there's so many right now, dude. I can't.
I did the math on I'm trying to remember what the number is. I think it's 11. If you start here and go up Central, and you count like Elkmont.
Yeah,
I know it's not exactly on Central, but it's a block off of Central.
That counts.
I think there's 11.
Yeah.
Or between Schultzbrow. Schultzbrow was hilarious because Sean and I sat up on that deck at Central Collective and watched them literally brick by brick build that damn thing.
Yeah.
And just like, what? And that's cinder blocks. Is that a castle? That's a castle. What the shit? Like, it's the weirdest, most awesome thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's weirdly awesome.
But yeah, it seemed like community because I know, wasn't it you all? It was you all, or it was one way or the other. I think it was the Alliance guys came in there and helped move. Well, you all probably both done that to each other.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember that, and I was like, I would have come. I'm a big dude. I would have come in.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that when I saw Adam, I think Engel posted about it. I was like, I could have come help, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you got that immediately. Was it kind of immediate, like also using the patio for music and stuff?
Yeah, we actually started that before when this place was still a storage
space.
Really? Yeah, we did that for that's how I met Kent and Garrett.
Yeah.
They hit me up about using that for a remember when they were doing the secret shows?
Yeah.
The Knox Music Warehouse. So we had Fire Kid out here like 5 years ago. And before there was nothing out there. We put the stage up by like center blocks and like plywood was the stage. And then when we opened this up, then they started really using this for music. And then we kind of hit our stride like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And then last year was amazing.
How many people can fit out there? Technically.
Enough.
Remember, this is audio,
yeah.
so you can like wink and nudge all you want. 50, 65?
Enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I always want to bring more comedians here. And God love Jason at the Pilot Lab, but it's like I can't get him to. He responds when he wants to respond. God love him, great guy.
Yeah.
But and I think a lot, like one of the guys who really Shane, who kind of really helped spearhead that around here, he moved to Crossville with his wife. And it's like, there's still not somebody, I'd like to see more comedy here. That's why I asked coming.
Yeah, hit me up.
So off mic, we will talk.
Off mic, we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Talk logistics. Because a friend of mine and I actually were looking at doing like a music venue. This is years ago. This was even before that because we don't have a Gray Eagle here. We have like a bijou for 800 people.
Yeah.
And we have a pilot light that, I'll give you the number there, 72 people or 74, I think is technically what can fit in there.
Yeah.
I've seen 74 people in there.
Yeah.
But W. Kamal Bell came through and he sold out where it was all chairs with 74 people in there.
That's cool.
So, but I feel like we don't have something which is not here, but that's like 200. But in doing that, I was like, man, there's so many comedians that if you can cover X amount, a lot of them are like, if you can sell $400 worth of tickets, I will come and pay for airfare. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's something I need to, I've always thought about in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Okay. So build that out, working within the community. You all have done collaborations and worked with the long table dinner to do beers and stuff.
Yeah, we do the long table we do that twice a year.
Yeah.
I think we've done 4 or 5 of those now, and we've participated and we've been involved in every one so far.
Let me run through some of these. Okay, so before we start, I won't say who for, but you were doing like almost like a demo glass for a client. So do you still have people that come to you and ask you for custom work or lots?
Yeah.
Because the Run the Jewels is still the coolest damn thing in the world.
I've got to do the second one for LP.
Killer Mike took the...
Yeah. So I got to do... Because I gave it to him and they were like, dude, this is cool, but like, that's only one piece. Like, there's 2 of us. Yeah. He was like, will you make me one? I was like, LV, I'll make you one.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
So that's been like 3 years. I still haven't done it. I was like, I finally got in touch with them and I felt so bad because I just totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
And it's that's a really hard piece. So I was like, shit, I mean, that's like lightning strikes once. Like I don't know if I can do it again, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a little bit of, I forgot about it and also kind of like, maybe like, I was scared to make it. Like, honestly, like I was not confident, you know?
Yeah.
And I let that keep me from pushing it, you know, keep me back from it. So I finally got back in touch through some people at AC Entertainment with their manager. And I was like, hey, man, I didn't make that. I'm so sorry. Totally my bad.
Yeah.
Like, I'll make it up for you. Like, I'll send some, you know, apology gifts with it.
Yeah.
But, like, do you still want it?
Yeah.
You know, because it's going to be a major, you know, those pieces, like the second one I'm just giving to them. But that's like if that was a sculpture that I sold, that would be like a $5,000 or $6,000 sculpture because it's a massive amount of work.
It's intense.
Yeah, really intense. So I was like, if I'm going to make this, like, I want to make sure that it's going to get to them because it's going to be such a commitment of time.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make a second one, so I got one too.
Yeah.
You know, so we can put that back at the bar. But that was like. Man, that was one of the highlights of my career is getting to make that for them. And actually, like, the turnaround was so tight. Because I pitched it to them. I was like, hey, do you want to do this? Because they told me, I was like, we're trying to figure out a collaboration. And they told me that was coming down the pipeline in several months.
This is AC or
the AC?
RT? Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, dude, like, I love Run the Jewels. It's one of my favorite bands. Like, they're so, like, the albums are so iconographic. How do you say?
That's
iconographic.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing something weird.
They're iconic.
Iconic. That's better.
Yeah.
Iconic. Their label is so the album covers are so iconic with the hands. And I was like, dude, I can make that. Then we can do a video.
Yeah.
So I pitched them the whole like we do the video of the process, but you never show it. And then I like break into the middle of mine and leave it there. And then you zoom in and then you see the hands and that boom is the announcement. Yeah. And so they're like, all right, that sounds awesome. Let me run it up. And then they gave me like 4 or 5 days to do it.
Good God.
By the time they were like, okay, let's do it. But we need it done by this Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. Like, I've never done hands before. Like, that's not how I blow. Like, that's a whole different style of glass blowing.
It's same thing as the glass. You're like, oh, shit, I got to do this now.
Yeah. That's like, I don't know. That's like if you're like a musician that's being like, okay, you get to play with this amazing band, but you're a guitarist. Oh, you have to play the drums for them.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you have 3 days to prepare for it.
Yeah.
So we pulled it off. Like, they came out perfect. Like first time. I didn't have to remake them. I made like a clear practice round and then went at it. Perfect.
Yeah.
I had one shot to do it. Pulled it off. We filmed it. Like it was like, so it was just getting to do it. And then also that it actually all came together. Like was so much fun.
Now I've got another side question.
Shoot.
This may be edited off of this.
Okay.
You've told me you start getting back into video editing and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I do not have a YouTube channel.
Okay, I'm gonna fuss at you about that.
Yeah.
Because of the SEO driver on YouTube it's number 2. Like because I run the social media Knox group and I have to research everything. YouTube is the second highest search engine in the world behind Google, and it's because a lot of people under the age of 25 just go to YouTube and search for stuff. They don't even search on Google.
Use on Google. They just use YouTube.
They search on YouTube.
Yeah.
So page ranking and SEO and everything is insane.
Yeah.
If you start integrating.
Yeah.
Again.
I'm seriously thinking about it. I need to get my chops up a little more, but
you've got videos like that you could.
Yeah, I might do it. Sooner as maybe a separate channel before I do, because I've got some plans. I kind of know what I want to do, which would be like more of like kind of what we were talking about with the lecture with my employees about how just like kind of like how to do things as an artist, how to make a career as a kind of like a celebrating maker culture, and then how to accomplish that, and how to be a maker, and how to make a living as a maker. Because all of these lessons, like how I approach glass gallerists, is the same as how a painter would approach. Like the process is the same. Like how you research how to get in touch with. Like it's just best practices. You know. So, but I want to do something sooner than that because I'm shooting all of this stuff on 4K, and then I'm posting it on Instagram, IGTV, and I'm getting like 720 is the best that I get. You know, it's like I'm going from 4K, exporting it to 1080, and then it's downgrading to 720 at best case. You know, so I want some places just to show off how pretty you know, because I'm editing that shit in 4K. It takes so long. You know, I want to show that.
Oh my god. Okay, that's a side conversation. The SEO thing is funny because I had to do. You're talking about like getting that and having to pull it off. Doing what I do, I have to bid on some, so I have to write up these crazy RFPs. And even though I've been doing
RFP?
Request for proposal. So I'm doing my proposal that they.
Wait, you're requesting a proposal?
Like they're like, we need.
That's like redundant.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I always call it RFPs. I'm responding to an RFP.
Okay.
So they send out.
So they're asking you for a proposal.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I don't know why in my world it's just like, I filled out an RFP. It's like it doesn't make sense, but it's
no, it does not make sense.
I know. We make pictures.
It's like calling like a reheating chamber a glory hole. It's just dumb.
Who would do that?
At least the
we already beat
like
that out once.
Snicker.
Like but every time I have to fill it, even though I've been doing this, because I've been doing graphic design for 28 years. Even though when I send the RFP, I still have a little flurry of butterflies in my heart of like, this is right, because you never know, because the person reading it could not understand anything. And then same thing, like there's one job that I've been on that's a big job that they're like, okay, the next step is we're inviting 2 or 3 people to come in and explain this to us. And he just emailed me yesterday morning. He was like, all right, you're in. I was like, oh shit, now I got to back all this up. Okay. It's same thing. It's like, I know what I'm doing, but it's just still that little bit of, somebody's calling me on my shit. Okay. I got to step up and do this. Did you ever have that feeling?
I'm going through that right now.
So that's the thing with the video. That's the thing that I've tried to do in my channels is show that it's, because I always say social media is bullshit. It's all the perfect angle, the perfect all that. So there's been a lot in my business channel where I've been like, no, it's sometimes self-doubt. The video thing I did with Stanton was all about like, the world is on fire, and how are you as a creative person? Is that causing a block in you? You know.
It's a good question. Yeah. No, I'm actually dealing with that same of like, giving a big pitch, a good pitch that you're excited about, and then you're like, okay, green light, and it's like, oh shit, now how am I gonna?
Yeah,
because that's what you walked in on today.
Yeah.
We've got this new client that is amazing. I think that we can talk about it.
Okay.
They haven't told me not, because I mean they've already like announced the bourbon, so it's Sweetens Cove Distillery. I think the bourbon is already for sale. There was an article in the Knox Sentinel a couple weeks ago about it, but it's the backers, they own a golf course north of Chattanooga, and then decided to open up a distillery, and the backers are Eli and Peyton Manning, and then a bunch of their famous athlete friends, tennis players, and NASCAR drivers, and all of that.
It's not Andy Roddick, but I can't remember. There's a tennis player.
It was a famous guy.
I'll edit in you saying his name.
Blah, blah. Okay, do it in this part. And there's this famous tennis player.
I'm not going to do that. This is even funnier.
But anyway, they hit me up about, they want to have this Tennessee base and these great stories. So they wanted some great glassware. So who are you going to come to? Who are you going to call?
Yeah.
When you want great glass and a story. And so they hit me up, sent the style guide. So and they want something extra special.
Yeah.
And I was like, boom. I was like, here's 2 ideas. It hits your style guide, like brand spot on. It's got the story. I've never done anything like this before. It's just like crazy awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do it. And then they're like, cool, that sounds great. Do it. And then now I have to figure out, like, I can make it if I'm just making one. Yeah. And then I can charge whatever. I can charge $200 for the glass. But I got to figure out a way to get it in this price point that I told them I would get it in. Yeah. And then be able to not mass produce it, but to be able to make like a couple dozen at a time. Yeah. And both, it's been like, the process has been like 4 times longer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Because we make it and I'm like, oh, no problem. I'll do this, this, and this. And we do it. And it's like, well, shit, now that topography looks like mountains and not like rolling hills. Yeah. But then we have to totally redo it. And it's just, so you got to see like take 4. Yeah. Literally take 4 on the pinstripe pieces.
That topography one is badass, though.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It'll be sexy, but it's such pain because those colors are the stripes are so big and they move so different. Like,
so when they come to you, do they ask for do they just come knowing you're going to be able to do it and say do it, or do they ask for like a proof of concept?
So we'll do sketches. Yeah. Like they were nice because they were like, it just needs to tell our story and it needs to hit this price point, and we want it to be a little extra. A little more like unique, added layer of complexity that you normally do. So that's like, that's one of those like kind of dream clients. You're like, yes, done. Yeah, cool. And so I send them a bunch of sketches. They dial it in on that. This was one of those random ones where I knew right off the bat. I was like, these are the 2 glasses. Okay. These are the proposals. I don't even think I sent them other proposals. I was like, here's 2 glasses. Yeah. And I sent them some options on branding. That was about it. And they loved them. Greenlit, and then now I have to figure out how the hell to make them.
Well, that's what I was wondering, like, because it's so intensive, if when somebody came to you and said, hey, we may want to use you for this, can you come up with some concept? Is it kind of like with design where you have to charge them or you have to do something?
I have to charge.
Yeah, because it's too much labor and too much materials.
Yeah, because it could be like, I've got to set the baseline just to limit the amount of prototypes that I have to make. Because, I mean, on a new glass, like these, honestly, I cut this client a deal on the prototypes. But, like, if I was charging true per hour, because this has taken so long, and it was on my end on this one because I was like, I'm going to do something crazy. Yeah. I can do it. Yeah. So it's like, well, going to take 4 times to figure it out, like 4 days. It could have been like this project, if I was charging by hour, it probably would have been like $2 or $3 grand. Yeah. Before we even get to the first order, right? What?
I thought I saw somebody coming to the door.
No, they walked past. Okay. They walked past.
Well, it was your guy that was over there.
Yeah.
He was staring. I was like, oh, do we need to?
He's probably just finished up and was about ready to do a talk down. What time is it?
It is.
Yeah. Can we do like 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, I'm on pee.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
Be done in 15.
Yeah, be done.
I thought you meant
Yeah.
15. Yeah, we can do that. I'm gonna write down those this time because in going into that, it's fine. People can listen to this. People can hear the flaws in this.
Yeah.
You had already. How did you? Because when it came to the brewery and the glass, you had learned how to marry the two of making glasses perfectly for different types of beer.
Yeah.
Like, how is that something you already knew, or is that something you researched? Once you got the brewery side up and running.
So we did, when I was starting with that, there wasn't really any craft beer glassware. You know, we were, as far as I know, one of the first to actually design glassware specifically for craft beer and the breadth of the different flavor profiles. So I looked at trying to break it down. I read as many books. Like when I do design work, I'm very right brain and left brain, where I'll start out with a ton of research before I even start coming up with ideas. Like I won't think about the final project. I'll just do research. Yeah. Dive into it. And then after I've done enough research, the ideas will start to sprout out uncontrollably. And then I have a lot of, that's when I get creative after I've done a lot of analytical work. So I did the same thing, read a ton of books on beer, like the history of beer, tasting beer, anything that I could find.
Is there books on like the historic glasses of beer or anything? Or
No, there's not. I actually have pretty much I've got most of the books on beer that have been all of the really good ones.
That's the book you need to create is
how to
get Shawnee Boy to take photos and
and
if you know a designer, I mean.
Yeah, right. I see where that's going. Son of a bitch.
All I ask is for my standard 85% cut. That's it.
Is this a podcast or is this
it's a long sale?
Yeah, this is a long sale.
Oh, shoot. Just start sliding a card. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
So anyway, so I was looking at, cultures that have history of proprietary glassware for specific styles. Yeah. And that at the time was exclusively Europe and Belgium, very specifically. So I got as many of the glasses that I could from those regions and then tried to get the beer or something like it to pour into it to find out if does this glass shape actually enhance the beer, or is it because it's tradition, because your father drank this beer out of this glass and his father drank that. So that's just what you do. And it tastes better to you because of that emotional connection. So these are all things that you have to consider when you're dealing with glasses. It's not just the functionality of the glass, it's the aesthetics of it. It's, when you're designing a bar, like everything makes you feel a certain way, the atmosphere of it. Like when you come have a beer, the things that impact your perception of the beer are the atmosphere of the spot you're in, how you're feeling in the moment, if you're with friends or not, the beer itself, that's only one of four, and then the glass that is the transportation vessel from the taps to your taste buds, right? So those are the main things that impact, and you got to take all those into consideration. So I got all of these old school glasses and all of the beers that I could get a hold of and drank the right beers out of them, and then drank the wrong beers out of them and tried to find out, like, for myself, firsthand empirical knowledge, does this make a beer taste better or does that make a beer taste better, and does it matter?
Because I remember us sitting out there one time and you were talking about like just the grip of like it's a lager, so you don't want to be holding it because you don't want to warm up that beer. Yeah. As opposed to a stout, you want to hold on to it to get it to
you want to go through that journey of tasting it cool, not cold, tasting it cool, and then tasting it as it warms up.
I drink 99% stouts.
Yeah.
The first place I learned that was up at Suttrie's. I was sitting there, and I can't remember if it was George or if it may have been Stanton in the early days.
Yeah, he's like, just grab it two hands.
No, he was saying, I'm going to pour this beer. I saw you drink the beer before it, and you essentially guzzled it.
Yeah.
Let this one sit.
Yeah.
And do not finish this beer for an hour.
Yeah.
And I got to the end and I drank the last bit. I was like, holy shit, it is completely different. 100%.
Yeah.
Because I always think of like crappy beer where it's like, oh, it's going to lose the carbonation, go flat. I was like, no, that's not the point of this.
Yeah. If you go to a spot and they're bragging about how cold their draft beer is, it's not good beer. Like that. The colder it is, the more it hides. The
only crappy beer I can drink is I drink PBR to sober up.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's my joke. I've never, here's a weird fact. I have been drunk less than on the count of one hand.
Yeah.
Because I just have a crazy high tolerance, and I'm a massive dude.
I've got a lot of man meat to get,
That's what the ladies say. That's what the ladies on Tinder say. I've sat and drank an entire bottle of Jack Daniels in one sitting and still been able to drive home at the end of the night.
That's crazy.
Like, it's fucking... Stanton he was like, you keep saying that. I was like, okay, we're going to do this one night, and it will not
Have you done it yet?
With him, no.
Yeah.
I will.
Feel like he distillers, man. I don't trust distillers.
He and I, but it's still like, of course, I'm 6'7" and weigh 285 pounds.
Yeah.
Of course I can. I'm not a anyway.
Yeah. That's funny, dude. I hardly ever drink regular water. I only drink filtered water.
Yeah.
Filtered through a coffee maker or a brewery.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I still drink tap water because I'm like,
I'm kidding.
it's got. Oh, okay. I always joke. I've got a friend of mine that every time she touched something, in COVID, it's amazing. She's for 20 years has always put Purell on. I was like, I need some dirt on my hands to build up some immunity. I was like, I also feel like if a stiff breeze comes through, you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yeah.
I'm like, you need a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's rattle through these. Are there trademarks in glass making?
Like actual trademarks
or like if you develop a style or something, is glass making bad for copying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, so we have a trademark on our duel, which is like I think one of the coolest things. We actually have no, not a trademark, a patent.
Oh shit. Okay.
Even better.
Nice.
We have a patent for our dual glass, which is if I would have told my like middle school self that was like taking apart calculators, like I'm going to be an inventor one day, and I would have been back like, hey, actually, you get a patent. Oh my God, a U.S. patent. I would have been like,
that's amazing.
That's cool.
So, what was the thought process on actually applying for?
Well, that was for probably the first 4 years of Pretentious. That was like 50% of our sales.
Oh,
I mean that pretty much single-handedly paid for that hot shop over there.
Nice.
So we were protecting it. And we only make it as a limited edition piece at this point. It's still one of our top sellers if we made it all the time. But I've probably made 20,000 dual glasses.
That's insane.
And so it's like it hurts my soul.
Yeah.
If I make it every once in a while, it's fun.
Yeah.
But it's so difficult. Like even now, like at the height of it, I would still mess them up on a real consistent basis, and it's just the glass doesn't want to do what I'm making it do.
Oh, okay.
So it would fight you on it.
I was going to say that's when you train people. You're like, you need to learn how to do this because I don't want to have to do this again. And you can do
the only glass that I have not been able to train anybody on.
Oh my God!
And I've had really good glass blowers give
that's
a crack
insane.
at it. It's just it's asinine. It's so difficult.
What led you? Were you an early person on Etsy?
No, actually, we got in over 7 years ago, 2012. So it was already had some pretty serious legs, and there were already some really, really big. I think we got in. I mean, I don't even know if it would be second wave or what you would consider it, but we had some legs to start. And when it started, we were selling like 20 or 30 glasses a month.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean, whenever it first kicked off, it was me, and then I had a glass blowing assistant that would help me in the hot shop. And then I would, after the first round, I would do all the photos. I would do all of the email. I set up the Etsy shop. I would do all the shipping. I would respond to everybody. Like, it was when it first took off, it was like 16-hour days.
Yeah.
It was get up, blow glass, and then get done. Cold work glass from the previous day, take a little dinner break, see my wife, and then go back and ship till like 1 or 2 a.m.
That's insane.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
And then we like slowly hired on one person, one person, one person part-time and then full-time. And then,
that's what Justin up at Stats Telegraph has told me before. He finally hired a guy part-time to handle like receiving prints, setting them up to sign in number, all this stuff. He was like, it was taking way too much damn time. He was like, I need to be making money. Yeah. And me making money is sitting on the computer.
Yeah.
Or printing these damn things.
Mine was, I was like, I physically just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I would work for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like 80 hours a week was the normal. And then what I couldn't do in 80 hours, I'm like, shit, I have to hire somebody to do that.
Hopefully I got 2 last ones that should be, hopefully. Are there different countries? I think we kind of touched on this, but country or regional styles for glass?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like worldwide, more country.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the Italian way.
Yeah.
You've got the American way, which is a little more free form, kind of a melting pot that pulls from a lot of different cultures. You've got the English style, Czech style.
Is Asian seem more ceramic, less glass?
Yeah. Asian actually, they've only recently developed a glass community.
Yeah.
Because historically they valued jade much higher than glass, and the only value they had for glass was to make imitation jade.
Oh, wow.
That was it.
Okay.
So it was like cheaper, more affordable stone pieces.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Do you have a box of ideas somewhere, or do you just have an idea for something and do it?
Like his glassware and all that stuff. Yeah, I got sketchbooks and like we'll have in my studio space next door that anybody can see when they come in the glass side. That's got like my physical whiteboard where I'll just go through and make a ton of variations on an idea.
But even with that, you still have sketchbooks full of ideas.
Yeah, still have sketchbooks. And then being an artist and doing something creative is, and this, it's not like people like, oh, you have to wait for the muse.
Yeah.
Well, you figure out what gets you in a creative mindset, and you know how to trigger that. Because it's our job. We have to do that at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So like Pretentious Beer and Glass is me.
Yeah.
That it's bigger than that, but like I have very little impact at this point of making it such a wonderful place. That's all of the people that are doing that, the brewers and everything else. But like that's like, this is my personality. This is like, I'm a glass blowing brewer. Yeah. This is my home. This is my safe place. So I can be creative anytime here. Because this is like, that's all my friends are around. We got stuff that we built and designed all around us.
Yeah.
We've got glass. We've got beer if we need some inspiration there to drink a little. Like,
it's in design. A friend of mine and I have jokingly referred to it as the 9-to-5er versus the 24-hour person.
Yeah.
Like the 9-to-5er is just going to go in and do the work and go home and not think about it. Whereas the 24-hour person will be sitting there at 3 a.m. going, man, I've got this T-shirt idea.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it always overfills. I've got literally a envelope box with sketches and drawings and Post-it notes where I finally just started collecting it into this envelope box. I was like, I finally looked through it and I was like, if I had no budget, and it has like furniture designs and stuff. I recently put one, I had an idea for a coffee table that you could also put books or DVDs or Blu-rays in. All because my Blu-ray shelf is overfull. And I was like, I got to do something else. And so I designed this coffee table with like a hole in the middle to where you have the shelving, but you could also pipe light. Like I just have this drawing. I was like, if I had, budget wasn't an option and time wasn't an option where I didn't have to worry about money to pay mortgage. I was like, I couldn't get everything done in that box in a year.
Yeah.
I couldn't. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no damn way.
Yeah.
And then I started running down. I was like, well, even if like something like that, I could just pass that on to somebody who can manufacture that. I was like, even there, no, I still couldn't get through every idea in that box.
Well, that's the fun part, because then you just get to work on what makes you inspired.
Yeah.
That's why you're in my office and we're surrounded by books. I'm a huge bibliophile. Like, this is, if I get stumped, I've got books on contemporary art, modernist sculpture, historic glass,
Walking Dead,
painter, Walking Dead, like beer, whiskey, tiki cocktails, like whatever I need to get excited about. If I'm almost there, I've got a book that will get me the rest of the way. Or I just sit and look at awesome things. When
I start teaching graphic design to kids, it made me go find my books from college. And everything I taught the kids, no computers, everything was done by graph paper by hand. And I would pull out these books like History of Design, calligraphy, all this stuff, and just make the kids learn from those books
Yeah.
that I learned in college. I was like, well, no, this is the better way. Sitting in front of a computer, they're going to get sidetracked, whatever. This is how you start a foundation.
Yeah.
Is having.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
All right. Good. We'll end on a compliment for me. I'm just kidding. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for making the time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.